Hey there. So I wanted to share something that just happened to me. I just got off the phone with my cousin, and it was a hilarious phone call. Now, the guy is 10 years old. It's my little cousin, and he's 10 years old, and I love him to death. He's an amazing young boy. So a couple of weeks ago, we went to a playground together, and we had fun there, and we were playing with other kids and like pretending that we're spying on them, and that we're some kind of two-man group bonding against all the other children on the playground. So just messing around. And I came up with this idea that we could build a camp or a fort somewhere close to the playground. Again, just having fun with my little cousin and trying to entertain him and not thinking much of it. Of course, I didn't plan to go into some elaborate plan of building this monumentous camp. But the idea really stuck with my little cousin. So since that incident a couple of weeks ago when we talked about this, he's been constantly talking about this and thinking about it. And now he called me. He called me up out of the blue and was like, Moritz, we should talk about what we need to build our camp. So he had already made a list of what we probably will need and all the things that he already has. So he went through this entire list of things that he got together now. So he had like sunglasses, and they had like little mirrors so we could see people sneaking up behind on us. And he had, several knives and like fake pistols and a shovel and different kinds of rope. So all these different utensils that you could need if you want to build that kind of camp. And he said like, okay, Moritz, what do you have? So I had to come up with things that we could use for building that camp. And he has like all these elaborate plans about where we're gonna do it, and how we have to build that camp, and how we can protect it against like people following us and people who try to destroy the camp. And of course there's nobody following us, and of course there's nobody who wants to destroy our camp if it ever gets built. But that's not the point. The point was how incredibly inspired he was, and how his fantasy just got the best of him, and how he let his creativity run wild and just went with it. So he had all these, he wanted to get technology so that we can like spy on people more easily. And then I was like, but we don't have electricity probably if we build a camp in the middle of nowhere. So he was like, but we're gonna get these solar panels so that we can get electricity from the sun. And there's also batteries, so we can use these. So he was unstoppable, and he just went on and on and on for like half an hour. And I was amused, but at the same time, I was also, I was just amazed how incredibly creative children get, and how they're not limited in their mindfulness and the way they think by constraints that we just have in our society, or that we believe we have in our society. They don't care about that. They just think whatever they want to think, and they make these huge plans that probably will never come reality, but it doesn't even matter for them. It's all about being in that creative process. And I thought, man, why can't we all be more like that? Why can't we preserve that kind of attitude for when we're older, when we're grown up. I mean, I'm 27 now, so I'm 17 years older than he is, and I feel like I've lost most of that attitude. Of course, I'm willing to go with the flow when he's so excited, but I would never think these kind of thoughts by myself. I have different things on my mind. And yet, when I was 10 years old, I was exactly like that. So at some point over time, I lost this feeling. And I think it's essential to either keep that feeling throughout your entire life and keep that attitude throughout your entire life, that you are able to do anything that you want in this world. There are no limits. All the limits that we see are man-made. All the limits that we have in our society are limits that were set up by society. So I'm not saying that every limit, every law, every rule should be broken, but there is a possibility that you can go over these constraints that you have in your mind and that you think are just there and are a law of nature, because they're not, they're man-made. And I think if you have this kind of attitude, you have exactly what it needs to have that entrepreneurial spirit. If you want to cultivate that for yourself, you have to be able to think outside the box. And in that case, the box is society and the rules that come with it. So if you want to do something that has not been done yet, if you want to start a new company or do something else, even if you just want to think some thoughts that have never been thought and that most people would consider to be super stupid and just not practicable, I think is the right word. I really encourage that we think more like we used to think when we were young, and like my cousin is still thinking, because it just allows us to be so much more creative. And maybe not everything that we think in that creative process actually works out. Maybe some things are just not doable. You just cannot put them into practice. But a lot of things are actually doable if you just set your mind to it. So I think in order to be an entrepreneur, in order to do something that is outside the box, it is essential that you have that child's mindset, that you're just curious, that you just want to do things and you don't think too much about the limitations that you have. You just go where your mind takes you, and you just explore what you want to explore, and you just do what is fascinating to you and what intrigues you. And actually, in many ways, I think building your own company is like what my cousin is thinking about now. Just, building this kind of, I don't know how to call it in English, brotherhood or whatnot with me, and build our own camp and have our own secrets and our own circle, and just do something that fascinates us, but is outside of the reality of other people, and maybe outside of the grown-up reality, so to say. I think in many ways startups are exactly like that. You have somebody with a vision and who's not limited by all the doubts that other people may have and all the restrictions that other people force upon him. So he just goes for it, and he just sees where it takes him, and he lets this creativity take him down an unknown path, but he's willing to take that risk. So I think this is what it's all about when you want to start your own service, your own product, your own company. And it is really all about having this childlike mindset. all right, I will try to preserve that childlike mindset for myself and see where it takes me. Later.